Alright, I got in there with a 9/16 wrench and I tightened up that fitting there on the bottle. Now what you want to do is you open up the bottle. I hope you can see the pressure gauge there. Right now we are sitting at 600 pounds of pressure, which is about right because it's about 60 degrees in here. It's cold outside today. Don't see any leaks. Sounds good. This is the switch for the bottle heater here. I'm going to turn the main power on. You see the bottle heater's on now. Now the bottle heater's off. Make sure to get optimum performance that you let the bottle pressure get up to 900 pounds before you use the nitrous. Get in the driver's seat here. We'll go over the switch panel real quick. Main power, ignition power. When you turn on the ignition, the fuel pump will turn on and run for 2 seconds. The computer controls that output. This mode is Menace mode. In this mode, the exhaust will open up. There's dumps underneath the floor pans. The dumps will open up and you'll have open exhaust from the headers. You close it, they close. The next switch is race mode. In race mode, I have an RPM set up, hooked up to a series of timers. They open and close the exhaust above 3400 and close it below 3400. The cooling fans run on their own. They have thermostats, but I did put an override switch here for the cooling fan. This switch is an overdrive switch. When we first built this car, it had an AOD transmission in it, which is a Ford transmission. We did not like that transmission. We took it out and put in a GM Turbo 400, so this is unused. Fog lights, driving lights, headlights, parking lights, those you have to handle separately. The stereo takes a minute to boot up. It's booted. We've got it set up on the dynamic screen, which shows volts, miles per hour, and I believe it's set up for acceleration G-forces, but it'll also measure lateral G-forces. The stereo is complicated. The owner's manual is here in the glove box, and you'll have to figure that one out. Troy installed it for me. He's one of the guys I work with here. All of the components are back under the back here. Difficult to get to, but very nice stuff. All JL audio with MB Cork speakers. It's really nice. The nitrous, we'll cover it real quick. With the ignition on, you can turn on the arming switch up here. With the arming switch on, at this point, the only thing you can really do is purge. So we got the bottle on, you can see up here on the dash. And then the purge has the LEDs in it, so at night it lights up like a red cloud. Of course, the engine has to be running and the throttle has to be wide open. But with the engine running, wide open throttle, RPMs above 2800, you push the red button and it goes like hell. So that's basically that. When you close the cover, the nitrous system's no longer armed. The purge nitrous won't do anything. And once again, this is also key power, so if you turn off the main power, you know, that turns that off also. I wanted to cover starting the engine too, because this does not have an idle air bypass valve, which makes it easier. We can ask the computer to give us a preset RPM. And then if we ask for 1200 RPMs and we could have it slowly taper off. We can't do that because we don't have an idle air bypass valve. Because at the time when we set this up, we didn't have the technology to put a external one on. And since then, you know, that they have a kit for that. So if you wanted to add that, you could. But basically, you get in here, you turn the power switch on, you turn the ignition switch on, and this is your start button. Don't give it any gas at all. When it starts, it's going to idle really low for about 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, you can tip into the throttle a little bit, warm it up. Within a minute, she's ready to drive without problems. Now, it's real cold right now. It probably got down to about 45 in the building last night. So I'm looking at the temperature gauge, and it's buried cold up there. You can see, I'll go over that real quick. That's our water temp. Speedometer, oil pressure gauge, tachometer, and fuel gauge. And then this is our heating and air conditioning controls over here. So let's give her a crank. See, I'm not giving it any gas. She starts up. Like I say, she idles low for about the first 30 seconds, especially when it's really cold like this. So while it's idling and warming up, I'll show you we have an oil temperature gauge right here. We have a trans temp gauge right here. This switch here next to the shifter boot, this is the line lock. And how the line lock works is you apply your service brake, you push and hold the line lock button and you let off the brake, and then your front brakes are locked, and you can sit there and do a burnout if you take it to the drag strip, or if you just want to do it for fun out on the street. That computer rebooted, I'll bring that up. These are our switches for the windows. This is the emergency brake handle on the back. There's a extra set of calipers in the back that are just for the emergency brake function. And I think we've covered about everything. The horn, that's pretty self-explanatory. The tilt column turn signals. We put sequencing turn signals on it, and also put sequencers in the front. So now it's run for about 30 seconds. I'm going to tip into the gas. Usually I'll hold it up around 1500 RPMs for a couple seconds. And then this, I'll show you the Menace mode. Menace mode, we open it up. The exhaust goes full open. I'm sure you heard that. We close it, the exhaust goes closed. But now you can hear the engine's warm enough that it's sustaining a nice idle, and you can drive away in it. One other thing I want to cover is the shifter. A lot of times people have trouble with ratcheting shifters. This is how a ratcheting shifter works. First, of course, you want to apply the brake. You lift up on this handle, you pull back, you see the R light up, and you're in reverse. And the next one's neutral, third. Now this is kind of where the ratcheting part comes in. At this point, this shifter always stays in this position. That's second, that's first. Now to get to second, you just hit it. You can hit it pretty hard. And that's third right there. And then that's neutral. And then it won't go into reverse from that point. You have to go back to drive, which is one click, lift it up, and then move it forward. So I'll show you that one more time. There we are in third gear, first gear. Now, if you ever get up here and you're having a hard time and you got lost on what gear you were in, excuse me, just take and pull this thing back until you're solidly in first. And then you go 1, 2. Then you lift up, and then you go forward. So that covers the shifter. If you ever get to a point where you're forcing it, you're not doing it right. So on a ratcheting shifter, that's how it works. Ratcheting shifters are about the safest and easiest to use shifter that they have out there. So about the only thing I haven't really showed you is the race mode. I don't want to do that because I have to rev it up pretty high. In race mode, it doesn't come on until, like I said, above 3,400 RPMs, which is perfect because on the dyno below 3,400 we lost 10 foot-pounds of torque. Above we gained 10 horsepower. So 3,400 was the perfect amount. And Mazda, they even used a system like this back in '89, I believe, and I believe they ended up with 3,300 RPM. But that pretty much covers everything in here, I think. I didn't cover this. Down here where the ignition switch used to be on a Mustang, this is a shift light. It's got a control on the back of it. It's set at like 6,200 RPM. Then over here, this red light is a oil pressure warning light. We have a warning gauge, but I also have a switch on this that'll turn that light on if the oil pressure goes low. So anyway, I think I showed you that screen. We're going to shut the ignition off, turn the main power off, and other than that, I better show you this. This is your center console here. It's fabricated steel console covered in leather. It's aluminum plate on here we made to house this nice shifter housing. But you push this button here and you turn it. and it opens up. I don't know if I got that, so I'll try it one more time. Then you push it to latch it. But you push it, turn it, pull it up, and that's your little storage compartment. We've got a power point underneath there, or cigarette lighter if you smoke. Back here there's a pin that you can pull on this fire extinguisher. When you pull the pin, the fire extinguisher can be lifted out. So we put it in there for looks, and I can see it needs recharged. They must go bad pretty quick, so you'll have to charge that if you want that to work. But then it sets right back down in the housing, and the pin goes right back in. And once again, there's your nitrous purge, go baby go button. And this button to the left of the shifter is for the line lock. So at this point, like I say, I think we covered everything in here. This has a garage door opener function, so you can program this to open your door. I did forget about that. This has got an auto dimming feature. Then this is your microphone for your Bluetooth for your cell phone, and which the Bluetooth is set up in there. We got the Bluetooth module with the stereo system. So I guess that's about it in here. All right, we'll move on. We'll get this thing over on the lift, and I'll be back with you.